Just a quick follow back before I pass it to someone else. Other than Trump, there must be other mechanisms in the United States that guide what the outcome or decision making situation is, right? And we have the
Well,
Secretary of State, but he's pro
our
Israel.
Secretary of State also very unqualified and pro-Zionist anyway. So even if he was qualified, his attitude is very much, I will defend Israel to the death. The Congress, unfortunately, unless they're extremely frightened of something else, are mainly frightened of Israel. Okay, they're mainly frightened of AIPAC. They're going to do what AIPAC says. They do not want to be called anti-Semitic. They do not want to have to be primaried in their races. They don't want to lose donations. So our Congress, and you can say, well, we have a constitution. The United States is not supposed to go to war unless there's a constitutional declaration of war. We haven't had that since World War II, but we've been at war every single year since then with some country and multiple countries. So it would be nice to think that the United States has checks and balances on their foreign policy, but our Constitution grants the foreign policy decisions to the executive, and then we elect people who really they don't run on foreign policy. Trump ran on putting America first and stopping interventions, pulling the troops back. Then as soon as he got into office, what does he do? Nothing. He does not do anything that he said because he is not really armed with the kind of background where he can make the case. He said, well, Americans don't want war, so I'll say I'm against war. But he has no concept of how you actually prevent war, especially when you're allying with a Sparta state, a little state of a nasty little Sparta. And that's what you're dealing with Israel. And they will, we were talking a bit about the Samson option. Israel has no friends. The United States is not Israel's friend. We're only useful to Israel. If we become no longer useful to Israel as a source of political backing, cash, weapons, top cover, whatever it is, we're not useful to them. We are an enemy. And you could ask probably, let's say there's 7.5 million Jews in Israel right now. 7.25 million of those Jews will say, cut America off. If they're not going to help us, they're our enemy. So I don't see where we could avoid it by our institutions. Our institutions are weak when it comes to this, and our president is not well informed, and neither are the people he listens to. Rubio, have you watched Rubio? Not even about the Middle East. Rubio is not very bright. Okay. I mean, he might be okay. I think he's probably slightly above average because he's been a successful human being. He knows nothing. He knows no history. I don't know why they put him in as Secretary of State. Probably because of Israel. He's devoted to Israel. There's no doubt. But he's not a guy that could give useful advice to the president. And there's only one I can think of, and that's Tulsi Gabbard. She's also a Zionist, the National Intelligence Officer, Tulsi Gabbard. He appointed her. She is pro-peace. She fought in Iraq. She knows the stupidity and the lies that went into our wars. But when she told the truth and said Iran back in before the 12-day war, Tulsi said, hey, they don't have a nuclear weapon now, and they won't have it for some years. And that's if nothing else changes. This is the facts. So Trump said, oh, whatever, we're going to do a 12-day war. He does it. And they asked him, and he goes, oh, I don't have to pay attention to her. Well, she's the only one that knows anything. So it's not a good thing. But, Trump does listen to people he respects, like Putin. He really does respect Putin. He wants Putin to like him, and Putin's playing it perfectly because Putin is very respectful to Trump, and he does admire the things that you can admire about Trump, his strength, his big picture thinking. I think a lot of people can like that. So you've got Putin, and also the Chinese Prime Minister Xi. These are the people that Trump believes are his peers. Okay. And Netanyahu, but Netanyahu is like your cousin. He's like your bad cousin. You're stuck with him. They fight every once in a while. But I think the other major powers, some of the BRICS powers, could play a role in helping Trump negotiate what he's gotten himself into. Because, well, now again, let's say those 20 points are perfect. We don't need appendices or chapters because everybody's going to agree on how it's all implemented, how every 20 point is implemented. Let's say that happens. Let's say Israel does what they're supposed to do. Well, we shouldn't have a war, right? I mean, if they really, in good faith, entered into an agreement, we shouldn't have this war. But I'll tell you, Colonel McGregor, Colonel McGregor, he's on Judge Knapp and other people too, all predicting another confrontation with Iran, another, whether it's a decapitation sneak attack and then followed by volleys, whatever, they're expecting it. Everyone is expecting it by the end of the year. And that's very dangerous. It's very dangerous.